What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here at MattyFish33. If you've been here before, thank you. Couldn't do this without you guys. If it's your first time joining us, click subscribe, click that bell, get those notifications. Man, I kind of messed that up, but we're going to leave it in. Like, subscribe, share, click that bell, get those notifications. There we go, guys. Anyways, in today's video, we are going to talk about who the boss is in pretty much all of my big setups right now. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. We will come back to these guys here in a little bit. Let's check out the cube first. So, who is the boss in here? Well, in this system, everybody's kind of still growing up, figuring themselves out. So, and also it's a little bit of a mixed tank because, you know, it's not just cichlids in here. So, I mean, you know, we have our Danios in here, and we have our archer fish who is there, and then we also have a tiger knife that's probably hiding up under that piece of petrified wood. I think you can kind of see his shadow there. And then back in our stump here, we have a baby fire eel somewhere under there as well. Usually he's hiding under that rock or in that alcove there. But as far as who the boss is right now, I would say that it's probably our red-spotted savrum in here. It's the biggest fish right now. It's kind of the one that I see policing people, if you will. I wouldn't really call it policing, but, you know, for the most part, there isn't really an established boss in this system yet. But we will have one soon, I'm sure. As these fish continue to grow and establish their hierarchy, we're probably going to add a couple more fish to this system in the next couple weeks, and then we're going to call this system complete, and then we're really going to sit back, watch, and find out who the boss in this system is. Now, if I had to guess though, the newer fish that I'm planning on adding will probably eventually be the boss in this tank. But out of this group right now, if it were to remain the same for a couple more months, I would say either our Savrum or our chocolate cichlid is going to end up being the boss. And then if anybody knows about the aggressive nature of these little Turkana jewels here, this guy would think he would be the boss, but he's just, like, it's not going to be big enough compared to the Savrum and a couple of these other fish that are in here eventually one day. But that question is going to be answered better as the fish in this system grow up, as I said. Look how beautiful our little electric blue Akara is, though. He is a little stunner. Alright. In Auno Mountain here, we're in the middle of a water change, so everybody's kind of hanging down a little low right now. So I'm going to revisit this tank for you guys here after the water change is done. Maybe, you know what? We'll just talk about it right now because even once this water change is done, these guys are probably going to lay low for a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, could have timed this a little better, guys, but I'm trying to get a film out for you, so we're doing this right now. Now, there are a couple hierarchies in this tank from what I see. So there are Mbunas in this tank, and there are Victorians in this tank, and then as you see, there are a couple loaches in this tank, being clown loaches and a yo-yo. And then also we have this Auxochromis anogenus here, and that guy is going to move to the big tank once he finishes growing up, if he'll stay still so I can film him. There you go, our Auxochromis, otherwise known as a 3-spot torpedo. Now, what I will say though, out of the two hierarchies in this tank, as far as the Victorian fish go that are in this tank, our Nairai cichlids are kind of trading places with the boss. So we have our Pundamia Nairai, and then he was over here, not sure where he went, but we had our piebald Nairai, and in that hierarchy I'd say the piebald Nairai is the boss right now. He's the one that I've seen breeding with our female salmon hap most recently. Like I said, those two fish kind of trade off with her. There's our piebald Nairai back there. So that's probably our tank boss right now. And then as far as the Mbuna hierarchy goes in this tank, you cannot see him because he's down there hiding under the stump. But our big giant bumblebee cichlid is probably the boss back there. Kind of hard to see him. You see him in the shadow there behind our yellow lab. There he goes. Went out from under, turned around. But that is probably the boss as far as the mbunas go in this tank right now. Sorry guys, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff suspended in the water column. Like I said, we're in the middle of a water change. But our bumblebee cichlid is the boss in this tank. And then number two, that kind of trades with him is that Maylandia that just popped out of there. Those are the two largest fish in this tank, and I'm still thinking about splitting them out of this tank because they're going to be the most dominant fish in this tank forever, just because of size and aggression. Also, one other thing to note, guys, we did name our albino snowball Sokolfi cichlid right here. Thank you for everybody that submitted names and voted. But his name is now Nova, as in supernova. If I remember correctly, somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, I'm sorry if I am, but that name came from a suggestion from our buddy Jake over at Smallfish 16. Jake, man, I don't know what it is. They like the names you're given, but you're 2 for 2, man. You got Kobe in the other tank, and now you have Nova here. So let's talk about our most established tank and what the hierarchy in there looks like. Here you have it, guys, the current crown jewel of the gallery, our biggest tank, our biggest, most colorful fish, and we're going to talk about who the boss is in here, right? So as I've said before in a couple other videos, you know, it's interesting to me observing this tank. I feel like there are actually multiple hierarchies in this tank as well. You know, there are peacocks in here, a few, and then the rest of the fish are mostly haps. But, you know, I've kind of noticed something like I've said in other videos before. There are 2 different hierarchies, but also it appears there is an ultimate tank boss as well. You know, these guys are a little bit colored down right now because I haven't had the lights on for too long, and they tend to color themselves down when they're at rest. But you can see V's kind of faded out right now, but he'll be full on back to his blues, and all his camo pattern will disappear within maybe 20 minutes or so, the lights being on usually. However, so back to the topic of today. So I think that Dolph was our overall tank boss, but check out how our 2 longer slender type species of hap are doing right now. Our BUCCOCHROMIS LEPTURUS green really showing off a little bit, especially this past couple weeks. Really got some nice color to him. Look at that. Beautiful fish, guys. And he's also getting huge. Probably right about 10 inches now. And then, you know, our other slender species hap, our Malawi hawk, really colored up too. So it's kind of hard to say right now, but I honestly, I would say that right now, our Bucco is the overall tank boss. Dolph was. I'd seen the Bucco kind of policing him around a little the last couple days though, so I think Big Dolph Lundy, our blue dolphin here, was dethroned by our BUCCOCHROMIS, which I said would happen one day. Now, here's the question though. At this stage, with this fish being about 10 inches, right, he is forever going to be the biggest fish in this tank. I mean, there are fish in this tank right now that are going to be larger than 10 inches, but not before this fish is even much larger than he already is. For those of you that aren't aware of how big a BUCCOCHROMIS gets, especially a Lepturus green, because I believe they are the largest of the species of Bucco that are found in the hobby. And they're abundant in Lake Malawi, but they're just rarer in the hobby because the size that they get. One day this fish is probably going to be approximately 16 inches, give or take an inch or so, maybe an inch or 2, I should say. But it depends on your system, your environment, setup, etc. As I've said in many other videos before, all of these are factors as to how large, how beautiful and brilliantly colored your fish can grow within your system. But this is our tank boss for now. And I think, guys, maybe we should do a fish naming video or poll for our BUCCOCHROMIS LEPTURUS green. So leave some comments below on what you would name this beautiful LEPTURUS green. And, you know, once we are able to take a poll and establish a name for this guy, we'll do a fish feature video on him. I think it's time, guys. As you can see, though, Kobe, our Malawi hawk, probably number 2 right now. Really fired up, got a lot of his reds and oranges coming out today. And then, you know, following down that, you're probably looking at our Star Sapphire right now is up there, probably top 3 or 4 fish, and then we're trading in and out with our Tangerine Tiger and our BC10. And, you know, our Silo Tilapia is really colored up as well, but I don't see him policing people. I think he's just feeling himself, and because, you know, some of these other guys that are more established and higher up the ranks don't exactly view him as a threat, I guess, per se, because what I've noticed is when he turns it on, our Empress kind of fades out. When our Empress turns it on, our Silo Tilapia fades out. To me, it makes sense. They're both species of what would be considered bream coming from Lake Malawi. Yes, they are African cichlids, but, you know, what I'm saying is Silo Tilapia rhodocide, which is what this is also known as a Malawi bream. And then our Empress is also in that category of fish as well. And if you look at the body shape, you'll really understand what I'm saying. So, and then obviously we have this Obi over here who always wants to think he's the tank boss, hence his name is Richard. But yeah, again, guys, I think right now our current tank boss is our big BUCCO-LEPTURUS green. So why don't you guys leave a comment below and let me know what you would name this fish. I've got a name in mind, but I want to hear from you guys as well, and we'll take a vote and we'll get this guy named up and we will do a fish feature video on him. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on this month's edition of Who's the Boss, because I'm planning on doing this about once a month, once every other month, I think, because things change in these systems, and I'm going to show you over the course of time how that changes, how the hierarchy changes. And, you know, I think I've kind of been trying to show you guys that already. If you haven't, you know, been watching all of my videos, go ahead and take a look back at some of the older videos, changing of the guard video, and there's many other videos where I talk about the hierarchy in this tank especially, guys, and you can see how it's kind of developed over time, and then you can watch it in real time as I give these updates as well. So that being said, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click that bell, get those notifications. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I know I'm going to. Today is my birthday. I'm not going to say how old. I wish it wasn't that age. But until next time, guys, have a great time, and I will see you in the next video. Matty Fish out.